the energy, and just trying to get our guys to understand that, how important it is to have the fans out there and how important it is for our fans to be there and bring that energy. And I think the players fed off it. There were some really good things. One thing I hope everybody appreciated was the aggressive nature in which we played today. The way we, ran the ball, the way we threw the ball downfield, things that we were doing on defense in terms of the different coverages we were using and pressures we brought. This is going to be a real good tape for us to evaluate. I'm really pleased with that. And talking to the coaches as practice was going on about the different things that we did. We had a couple of live periods. We changed the tempo up so we could get things going. And then we kind of eased it back down just to make sure we were working on the details. So we got a lot accomplished and very pleased with what we did today.
As you talked about with Curtis, in the plan you guys have, so when you see him out there tonight, what are you looking to see from him to show you that he's on the right path? Well,
a big part of it, is really his route running, the timing, and there was one where he was trying to time out a ball across the middle with Carson. I don't know if you guys saw it. It came a little bit high and hot, and he was trying to get that feel for his, for Carson, and I think Carson was trying to get a feel for his timing as he was breaking across the middle. But when you watch him and you watch him get from one zone to the other and kind of impacting the defenses as he goes through it. I mean, you have to pay attention to his speed and quickness, and it causes certain things to happen with the defenses. And then when you see him with the ball in his hands, just how dynamic he is.
Ron, obviously you guys have now finished 2 weeks basically of camp. We reached a point where it's not early anymore, that you're now expecting more out of these guys as we go forward?
Yes, we are. It's one of those things that we changed the tempo several times this week as we went through practice. In certain periods we had as live periods. And when we went live, we were expecting certain things, and we watched it on tape. And if it was good enough, hey, we let them know. If it wasn't good enough, we told them it wasn't acceptable. It's trying to get them to understand that, you always have to be able to practice at a peak level, and that's what we're looking for. Thought a lot of guys did some really good things today, as I said, especially when we had a couple of those live periods going.
Carson had a couple of good throws in the end zone to Curtis and to Terry, but the inaccuracy has still been there, and it's kind of been there, at least from the outside, most of these practices. Where are you what's your sense of his accuracy at this point in camp?
I think it's a lot better than you're giving him credit for, just because of the way things happen in practice. There's a lot of little nuances that we see, that we look at, that we get to review. Yeah, there's some inaccuracies, but it's nothing that we are overly concerned with. Again, we see what's going on. We see how things are developing. We see the timing and just the understanding and feel for what's going on with our concepts. So as we continue to grow and work on it, we just feel like we're going to continue to grow and get better as an offensive unit.
Are you able to give a little bit more context on what happened with Trey Walker with his decision to come back?
Well, other than just the fact that, for the most part, Trey was dealing with some personal issues and stuff like that, and just him talking through with some folks back home and just kind of working through it more so than anything else. And he and I communicating, talking about some of those things. And, as he just realized and recognized that, this is an opportunity, and he's got to take care of other situations, circumstances, but this is also the opportunity that he really wants. And so we had a very nice conversation, very positive. I think the young man's a terrific young man who just had a situation that overwhelmed him. And, he seemed to have settled down and came out and had a good little practice.
And at tight end, you think you're down to 4 guys right now?
I know, and that's a concern. We did bring a tight end in to work out today, and we're going to talk about him tomorrow morning. And, we'll have a decision coming.
Kind of stepping back on Carson, through 2 weeks of camp, is this what you expected from him, and kind of where are you at big picture?
I see big picture. I see the progression. I mean, again, he's working timing. He's understanding concepts. It's a different offense than what he's played in at his 2 different other stops. And, just getting used to the different players. This is a different characteristic in terms of the types of wide receivers he's throwing to. A little different from the ones he's had in the past. And so this just developing that rapport that he needs to have.
What are the biggest schematic adjustments from the offense he's been into the one he's in now?
Well, I think one of the big things, more so than anything else, is terminology, understanding the terminology, and then understanding how the progressions are set. we may go through a progression a different way for them. He may start his read a little bit differently, and those things are different. Now then comes the timing and understanding how the combinations are with the different receivers and who those receivers are. When you have Terry, Jahan, and Curtis and Diami out there, I mean, it's a 4x100 relay team. I mean, those guys can flat out run. Then you put a couple of the bigger guys out there. You put Cam out there with them, and now you got a different set of time. You got a bigger target as well. You include the tight ends; it's a different group. We haven't had all our tight ends out there. We're down to 4, and so there's still a lot of things that still have to work together, and still have to be developed together as we continue to go through this.
With Carson too, it seems like the last period where you guys had the extended 11 play stretch,
right,
seemed like he was able to get into a little bit more rhythm. Just how important is that for him? And I know that's most quarterbacks, but specifically
absolutely. But for him it is, because again, this was again one of the things that you look for when you practice here in your stadium and you have your fans out there. Is you want that energy, electricity, and a little bit of sense of I don't want to say game atmosphere, but game atmosphere. He got a rhythm going. Scotty got a nice rhythm going with his play calling. And I think that gives Carson a little bit of a sense what to anticipate once we get into the games. And that's why this preseason game will be really good for not just Carson, but for the entire offensive unit, Scott included, in terms of play calling, getting into a rhythm that suits him very well. And that's what I like about it.
So he'll play next week like Brian did last year?
Oh, yeah, he'll play.
Yeah.
Definitely play.
And then just real quick, with his pump fakes, what have you kind of noticed from that, and what does that do for you guys as a defense?
I really like it because his motion, and he's so quick with it that he gets himself set and is able to get the ball out. He had 2 really good ones today that both ended up in big throws and catches, and that is something, that when you have guys with that kind of quickness, getting flat and then being able to turn and burst and go vertical, you can lay it out and they'll go get it.
Take 3 more.
With Terry not being there in OTAs and minicamp, have you noticed that him and Carson maybe have a little more room to grow versus him and the other receivers?
Without a doubt. And I'm excited about it because, there have been a couple throws where he's slightly behind Terry a little bit. He's got to get used to how Terry breaks and comes out of his breaks, and that's why he's a little bit behind. I think he's trying to gauge Terry's speed a little bit. So a couple times early on he was a little short. A couple times he was a little bit long. Now it's just continue to work that and get that feel for hitting it right on the button.
When you were addressing the fans, you were a little fired up there. Had a little football coach in you. Do nights like this get you?
It does. It's exciting to me. It really is. I mean, just again, I really do appreciate the fans that came out tonight, and I really appreciate their support and bringing the electricity. There's something exciting about being in your home stadium, and I really I enjoy it.
With Cam Curl, that's the guy you drafted your first year here. Where's the biggest growth you've seen with him from maybe when you drafted him to last year to going to year 3 now?
Wow. I mean, Cam was a guy that came in and already had a good sense of what it took to be a good player in this league. And then last year you really saw his growth and development. You saw how he's learning the nuances of the game. Now, I use the word to describe who I think is a really good player. You see him be a pro. The way he handles his preparation, the way he takes care of himself, the way he prepares for a game, and then the way he practices, and now the way he plays. I mean, he's really just become a solid football player, and there is room for growth for him to be even better.
Last one.
Coach, you talk about the excitement of the crowd, but something meaningful after what you've been through with your cancer battle to be with that young man, and the whole team loving on him. Could you talk about what was going through?
Yeah, what we did today was we had a young man, Josiah. I want to make sure I get the last name right. Desper, D-E-S-P-E-R, Josiah Desper. He's a huge fan. He's a cancer survivor. He's 5 years now since his last treatment, and this was his make-a-wish. He loves football. He loves the defensive line, and shocker, his favorite player is Chase. So what we did was we had a 99 jersey made up for him. We had Chase present it to him in the locker room before practice, and we invited him to come out, be with the defensive line, watch practice, and at the end of the game we had him break down the team. And you know, it's kind of neat to be able to give back to the community like that, especially when we have young people that, you know, that have gone through so much in such an early part of their life. And it was really cool the way the players responded. I was really proud of our guys for the way they handled the young man.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Alrighty, cool. Thank you, guys.